Hey man, how you doing?
Hi, Bobby. Good. How about you?
I am doing very good, especially after seeing you again during that webinar a few days ago.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bobby Rose, and welcome to the Music Talks podcast. Today with me, I have somebody that I haven't met physically in a long time, but I have performed with him once and twice before, Mr. Justin Chu.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me, Bobby. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad to be hearing your cheerful voice. So, how have you been? How are you doing during this COVID times, being locked down and all?
Well, honestly, for me, I'm honestly experiencing like how my retirement age is going to be like.
Oh, okay. You
But
passed that working time already, eh?
yeah, it's like time warp to the future. It's like, oh, okay, retired. You're like, okay, so this how it's going to be like, huh? I was like, nah, I think I'd rather just work first, lah.
Nice. But you still do performances and all, right? Do you
Yes.
do you do like online learning, online teaching or something like that?
Actually, online teaching, I just started like 2 days ago. Honestly, it was just like before and after the webinar, I had my first online class on that day itself.
Nice. So,
Uh,
ladies and gentlemen, for those listening, Justin and I actually attended a webinar under the Faculty of Human Ecology of UPM, and we were listening to different researchers about composition, live performances, and anthropological perspectives of musicology by different professors and doctors. So that's actually what Justin and I are talking about. And you were saying, Justin, about the online teaching. How was it?
well, honestly, my first experience was a bit shaky in the beginning, especially when both sides have some lagging issues. But overall, it went well, lah. In terms of
Nice.
technical wise, it's good, lah. Yeah. But then, if you're teaching songs, it's a little bit tricky in that way, lah. That's my experience so far.
It's very good. I'm so happy that you are on this boat now, this online teaching boat. But I
Yeah,
actually
thank you.
my
No choice.
yeah, eventually
Yeah.
everybody falls into it. Right? But I actually wanted to ask you more specifically catered to you, in which you've been doing a lot of performances online, right?
Mm-hmm. True. Started not too long ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and how was that?
Well, so far we're getting good responses in the live shows. Honestly, in the beginning, we were like, how to say, skeptical and super worried. Like because we can't predict what happens, and it's a new field altogether in this one. So we were very like nervous and anxious and all that in the beginning. But now, after 8 live shows, we just done the 8th one 3 weeks back, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we have a very good viewership now. It's increasing slowly, but it's there. And yeah, everyone is enjoying themselves, and yes, it's good. We're having a good response so far now. Mm-hmm.
That's great. And you mentioned anxiety, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I do remember that your junior, my senior, Kavita Kandia, actually wrote about pre-performance anxiety for her dissertation. So I just wanted to ask, how does your performance anxiety actually differ for performing for a camera rather than a live audience? You know, like usually if it's a live audience, when you tell them to shout, they will shout with you, they will cheer with you.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true. Mm-hmm.
like, do you feel it's kind of lonely when you're just performing for a camera?
Well, at first it really does, and honestly, it's not this live show that I really felt lonely. But it was my very very first live show, after the MCO, which was in June. I did with Kirana and the band, in Jao Team.
Oh, you did.
Yes, that was my first live show, like online live show I had lah. Then
Oh,
it
okay.
was really that we felt and I felt was really really weird and, how to say, unbelievable experience at first lah, because like you mentioned, like in the live shows, especially when you perform somewhere like a bar or a restaurant, and that you have audience around you and then they will listen to you. But then on that day itself, there's literally no one except the camera crews, okay, and
And the
MCs
host,
there, and the host,
yeah.
yes, correct, and the band. So literally, like sometimes when after the shows, like usually in the show or on a live band, live setting, you will have someone and the whole audience will clap for you. But then on that day, literally like it's a bit like click a bit when it's only like the MC and the cameraman is only like trying to support while doing their work.
Yeah.
Two things at once. Yeah. So honestly, that was how to say, lonely at first lah. But since then, like I gotten used to the atmosphere. Then we try to find a different ways to engage with the audience and also to get the response not through live setting but through the comments or all this lah. So yeah, it was now it's better now in terms of that lah. We've already gotten used to it. Yeah.
It's really awesome. But this one you're talking about Jiao Team in June, like before they allowed for audience, because I know for a fact that in July or August, like now they have Michael Verapan and John Thomas all performing there. They actually allow for like 20 people to go, right? It was
yes, correct. Yeah.
so.
But
like,
honestly, that time, how to say, if I'm not mistaken, our show was the second live show we had after MCO. So that means it's the second live show without any audience at first. The first one was done by WVC. Yeah. So even though for us a second performance also, so it's like it's quite a surreal experience lah. Honestly, without any audience in front of you and just tables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume you have to like put like what do you call paper faces in front there so that you're like looking at faces instead of just looking at empty tables.
We actually thought about that, but we didn't prepare that. We didn't foresee it coming that time. If we had known, we probably print out a few papers lah.
Can. So, are there actually similarities in performing for a camera, performing for a what do you call that? A live online show rather than a live audience?
Honestly, it's a very context altogether. You can't mix both of them because one is that you're usually in live audience, you have audiences in front of you, but when you're doing a live online, literally is like how to say, you have your camera as your audience and the screen in front of you, which you can only imagine how your audience will react probably behind the screens. So it's two different contexts altogether, honestly.
Oh.
Yeah. You can only imagine only that. Like, okay, there's an audience at the back and you do not know how many actually. Whereas in the live setting, like in a restaurant or bar or pub or club there, you get to know how many is like looking at you, and you probably also get to know like how many actually focusing on you and all that. But on a live show, you can only predict and you can only do what you can through the responses you get from the social media. Yeah. And even on social media, some of my friends actually said you don't even know if they're actually paying attention or they're just like, oh, finish one song and then they just comment something. Then they go ahead and do something else and then finish another song. That is the main issue that will rise lah. Like, because usually in the live setting performance, your audience will be there longer than the live online, basically. Because live online, you just like, okay, I'm nice first song, nice. Okay, then I had to do something. Then ciao. But one thing is good that is open to everyone. So it's how to say, if you in a good days you can garner quite a lot of views. No, they're normal live settings like you do in restaurants. Yeah,
that's true. But I do, like relating to what we're talking about, the anxiety, right? Do you actually have days that just feel like, oh, I'm not playing good, so a lot of people aren't really gonna focus on me performing? So do you actually get downer than usual, like when you do live performances?
Oh yes, especially the first few performances. I mean my own live performances at home. We do feel that, especially like certain hard songs when we choose them, we're like, oh my goodness, why we have chosen this at the first place? And then when we perform, for me, I'm used to this kind of issues regarding anxiety because I've been performing ever since I was 10 years old until now, and perform like in churches and all that. So I usually perform in large audiences, so I'm used to the anxiety like in front of audiences. But for me, during the live shows is not really that, because the main thing is that in the live shows, you know that when you're performing, is being recorded and is going to be recorded forever. Unlike your live shows, like in the restaurants or that, you perform, and whatever mistakes happen, it happens, and that's all. Unless you're not recording lah. But your live shows, of course, you're recording, and it's going to be safe unless you delete it from the social medias lah. But even though delete it, is permanently there. So literally your mistakes and everything, and your sometimes not only mistakes, sometimes your moment where you solo is very good, then it's also safe there, which is good as well sometimes.
That's true. There are the pros and cons.
There is pros and cons, but it's still a very good experience lah, for those who haven't tried yet lah, honestly.
For you personally, right, which one do you prefer? I mean, I kind of can guess the answer for this question, but which one do you actually prefer? Like walking into a room of 100 people and performing for them, 1,000 people, or just walking into a room with a camera and multiple cameras. I remember that you had your setup for the band at your place like has multiple cameras, right? Like which one do you prefer?
For me, honestly, I prefer the live setting lah, in a live event, rather than online. Online has good stuff also lah, but honestly, the thing that we miss as a musician is the live human interactions with the crowd. So I mean, you can see their feelings, their excitements.
You can actually work based on their responses, right?
Correct. And not that also. The main thing is that why we do performances is that because we want to interact with the crowd and we want to get the response from the crowd. That gives us the satisfying feeling of that we have done our best to, make people's life more enriching. But on a live performance, you can't have that. So that is the one plus point that really lacks in the online shows lah.
That's very true.
But
I assume when fingers crossed and hopefully, or when things do go back to normal, like after this MCO period, when everything goes back and there is no restriction on number of people, SOPs and whatnot, right? At least one of the big things that we all can gather from it is the setup part lah, the technical setup part, right? So now, like in the future, you will be able to like do things live performance, but then there's also a camera recording you guys for the YouTube to be put on YouTube and Facebook and all, right?
You mean to integrate both the online as well as the live event itself lah? Yes, of course. That will be more better lah, but depending on the avenue and the places and the time and the resources lah, basically. Because if you were to do that, then the let's say like you want to do live from your phone, but you're playing on stage as well. It actually it's been done quite often also, especially those in the Chinese club scenes or the Chinese bar scenes. They will actually like record live with their Facebook while they perform on stage at maybe like in a bar in Halloween and all this. So I've seen before many times.
And
It's just that in that perspective, it differs with each musician.
And I know like even like Chow Team and No Black Tie, they actually have that manager that helps with having your live performance being put up on social media, right? Because it's not only for you, it's also for them to promote for the people not coming over. That's
correct, especially the Chow Team lah. They actually, I must say, they really invest with the resources they had and the technical setups and all that, because on that live show that I had in Chow Team, they actually have like not 2 though, like 3 or 4 cameras, and it's not normal cameras, DSLR cameras, like right in front of you. And then they have a big TV screen there for them to moderate and the entire setup. On top of that, they have the basic audio setup for the musicians, the sound systems and all. So all that has to be set up, as well as the decorations, the backdrops and all. So yes, I must say they really did the best they had lah for that time. Yeah.
It's really extensive that way.
Oh, must it's very extensive. Because you want to when you present, especially for live show, your backdrop must be presentable lah. It's not like a normal kind of shows
Yeah.
where in the restaurants there are. This is like any kind of setup. Like you need to show it well. Yeah, that's a factor.
And speaking of which, I know that you do like go for bars and restaurants, do solo performance or like duet performance.
Yes.
When was the last time you did one of those?
When was the last time? Okay. Honestly, until today, I vividly remember the last time I did was, if I'm not mistaken, 2 days before the MCO began. It was a Monday, and the last performance I did was in KL Tower.
KL.
It was because I remember vividly that it was during that evening when I was performing. Then I had my break there. In between, that the Prime Minister announced that it's going to lockdown, and we're like, lockdown?
What is that? At that
Yeah,
time,
we're
right?
like, how is it going to work? I mean, that time we really no idea, no clue how it's going to work, and everyone also was like wondering, well, like how is it going to be like another darurat? Because I mean, but this is like two it's a different thing altogether. So I was like, okay, so how is it going to work? I mean, honestly, that time like we were like a bit excited lah, but now looking at it, like I rather not be excited.
Yeah. It's just one of those new things to happen.
Correct. I mean, the new experience is really good lah, but the cons is a lot lah. Really, rather not go for that. It affected everyone's work, and the economy is that time, and economy started to collapse. So yeah, it's a very bad thing lah for all of us. Yeah.
No, it's the dark days.
Dark days indeed. Yes. We are now also experiencing partial like dark days lah, but not as bad as those.
Yeah, but I like to say that it's getting brighter nowadays, especially when we know how to cope with it, right?
You know the enemy's plan and his strategy, right? His or her its strategy. Yeah, I must say that. So it's now we are more better, but honestly, also it's up to the humans to whether follow it or not lah. So yeah, we also have our part to do lah.
Yeah, actually, that's the joke, right? You said like, I respect how you said his or her, but then you changed to it, but then we forget that it's also us. Actually, most of it is just like us. We are our own worst enemies. So
correct. Yes, exactly. I mean, we ourselves are the worst enemies. So because humans mind, humans character, humans behaviors. That one really will make a difference whether we will win from this pandemic or not lah.
That's true. And hopefully we will.
Yes, indeed.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you just stepped into the philosophical corner with Mr. Justin Chu here.
Thank you. Not really that philosophical, honestly, compared to my peers, and especially Bobby.
I'll have another episode with you about that.
Yeah, we will have to.
So yeah, going back to the performances, right? Another one that I wanted to ask about was you just came back from a cruise, right? You were part of a performance crew for a ship cruise, right? Recently.
Yes, correct.
What was that like?
I went for a cruise contract under Genting, Genting Hong Kong to be exact. It's not Genting Malaysia. This is the company is called Star Cruise. Actually, they have 3 branches. One is them Star Cruise. So I went to a ship called Superstar Gemini, and I've worked there and had a contract there from August until December. Yeah, so it was a very good experience, and honestly speaking, it was that time when we came back to Malaysia first. Then the virus started to spread in Wuhan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually avoided it very nicely.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Happy to hear that.
Yeah, exactly. Because during that early days, it was really chaotic at there. So yes, and we were very scared. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was scary, right? Like even after that, we still went for JJF. Like it was nothing.
Correct.
And we were just like, it's fine. It's Indonesia. It's away from China.
Exactly, and then it's like during the JJF Java Jazz Festivals, like I think there is transmission going on already, but just that the Indonesian government haven't announced yet at the time, so it's like was a very dangerous thing though.
Yeah, the global government, to be honest.
Exactly.
Like even like people there just like I don't care.
Yeah, I not all of them. When I was there, because I took the public transport from the airport to the hostel I'm staying. So when I took the train and the buses, I do see a lot of Indonesian citizens already wearing masks. Not all, but a lot of them are already wearing masks. Yeah. So which is a good thing, honestly. They're already aware of this the there's the virus going on. Yeah. Without them to like tell them like you must wear a mask. No. But majority wear lah. I won't say all at the time. Yeah.
And even the Malaysians going there also, like, we were wearing a mask in the airports. I remember, like, we have to make sure in the airports, going and coming back. Yeah.
In the airport, correct. Yeah, those days.
Back in those days. So, about your cruise life, right?
Yes.
Just wanted to go back. Yeah. So, what's it like being part of the crew rather than being a passenger?
Oh, well.
Like, did you feel like a steward?
Yeah, honestly, usually you being part of the crew is like mostly like under the other departments, like the hospitality department or the waiter, waitress and all this. But being a musician on a cruise ship is a bit more upper class kind of feeling lah. But yeah, I mean, like, besides because I used to go for cruise before when I was at age of 9, if I'm mistaken. That was my first cruise ship experience. So of course, as a passenger, you get to go around freely. There's no such thing as work time on the ship. You just enjoy yourself there and enjoy the activities that they organize. And you go for the offshore, excursions. But then, for me, my first time being as a musician on a cruise ship, it's a different experience altogether. For me, I must say I really enjoy it because it's partial work. Okay, even though we work 7 days a week at there, 4 sets a day, 45 minutes each. But then, like, other than that work time you have, other the time that you just eat, they give you free food, so you eat like a king. And also,
that was a very careful word. Careful choice of word.
You eat like a king, literally. Like, we eat like buffets, like literally every meal for all the times you've been on ship. And like those days when the ship docks into to a few ports, you go down and enjoy yourself, like a holiday. That's what I enjoy about it. It's like working while traveling. It's exactly like my dream, honestly. I like to travel, so yeah.
Yeah. It's always fun to actually like go there. You are there to work, but when you can, you actually just take some time off and remind yourself that, I'm in another country, or I'm in a new whole different place. So might as well
yes, you're in a foreign country and that. I was in China that time back then. The ship travels from China. The port land is China, Xiamen to be exact, the city. And we travel to Naha City, Miyakojima Island, and Ishigaki. All of that under the Okinawa region in Japan. Yes,
China,
correct.
Japan. But I just want to focus more on the 4 sets, 45 minutes per set for 7 days a week. How do you cope with that? That's insane. That's just like crazy. How do you I don't know, avoid song repetitions? How many songs do you prepare? And do you even before that, okay, we're going to rehearse 200 songs, or do you just
honestly, my case was a little bit different because the agent actually contacted me contacted me 1 month before I sign on the cruise ship. So basically that 1 month period, I literally need to contact the band leader and ask him for a very super long list of songs and quickly learn and transcribe as much as I can. So it was a different case altogether because usually other bands, they will have their own sets already prepared before they go up. But for me, it's halfway through their band's contract, I have to prepare and go up there and play with them as follow as what the song is. And yeah, that's how our practice session is also at the same time while performing. Lucky I have a very solid band there. Yeah.
And lucky you're also a solid player, so
thank you. Still a lot to learn though.
So
one way or another.
You had legit 4 weeks to just and how many songs did they have in their repertoire?
We actually don't how to say have an exact like song list or that. As long usually the singers will update time to time what to learn, but we do have a set list like let's say we are our days on, let's say we are coming up from Xiamen, we have a Xiamen set list. Then we have a day where we are at High C, we have a High C set list. Yeah, so we will repeat that set list how to say depending on the travel itinerary.
Nice.
Just that, and then yes, correct. Then at the same time, when there is a need for new songs or that, then we will add it from there lah. On top of the set list, we will change here and there. So,
and I assume you can just like during the show, you can just like Google the chords or something like that, right? You can just have it.
Oh no, no such thing.
Why?
Our internet is very bad on the ship.
In fact, that's true.
In fact, actually, if you're on high sea, if you're as a crew there, you can't have internet around the passenger area, and you actually can't use your phone. Of course,
professional
especially.
purposes, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And then you only can use. There is only a Wi-Fi area at the crew bar. That's where we get our internet, and then the internet is not cheap. If to convert to Malaysian currency is about 50 odd ringgit for 1 gig
per day.
No, per day. It depending on how much you use.
Oh, you can keep renewing 1 gig.
Yeah, but honestly, so expensive. Like you rather keep it lah, unless you
Yeah.
urgently need to call back or do video call. Then yeah, it's going
That's
to cost
very
your wallet.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah. So basically, how to say, there is no internet available at the performing area. So what we do is we need to rely on our musicianship skills lah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know how much more obvious you can that advice can be given to people, but yes, at the end of the day, rely on musicianship skills.
Correct. That is the essential thing that will help you in any situation.
That's very true. But thank you so much for telling me about that, because I've been talking to a lot of people on this podcast, and they've been telling me about their opera performances, their live performances, and a friend of mine, the last episode, I was just talking to a friend of mine from Kuching. He was talking about TV performances, performing and going on TV for different programs.
Oh,
so I've
that's
never
interesting.
had and I've never had a conversation with anyone about a live on a cruise performances yet.
Yes. It's very rare in terms of our context here, but honestly speaking, among the Chinese scenes, there are actually many of them who actually went for cruise ships already.
Oh,
You'll be surprised. Yes, I mean, I know a few. Like, I mean, at first I didn't know that they actually went for cruise ship, but after looking at their profiles, they actually went up. So many of them. So among the Chinese music scene, it's not a first time thing lah. Honestly.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So, I just want to ask you like an honest question, right?
Sure.
Like, I was told like by a friend of mine that there might be another cruise starting next year in like February or March.
Yes.
I don't know how likely it is. So I just wanted to ask your personal opinion between a live show at a pub or a bar or a restaurant, or a live show at one of those bigger jazz places like Jaotim or No Black Tie, or a performance on a cruise, like another cruise live for 3 months on water. Which one do you think is the highest likelihood to happen in this short time?
Honestly speaking, looking at the current situation now, the cruise ship will be on lah.
Oh yeah,
That is my honest suggestion, because the current cruise of course is cancelled throughout this whole year. Only there are a few cruises which are operating now. One of it I know, the Dream Cruise, which is also under Genting. They're having their own itinerary back in Taiwan, because Taiwan now currently there's no COVID cases. It's COVID free currently lah. So that's why they are able to do a cruise ship only to Taiwan islands. They're not opening for the whole world. That's why they can have their own like national cruise itinerary. So they are going to implement that, I think, in few countries next year. That's why they can open up.
Nice. But you think that's more possible than you going back to performing live at these places?
Yes, correct. Because I feel that, okay, looking at our current situation back in Malaysia, we expect the cases to go down before September, right? And hopefully we have we actually went through that single digit timing, where it's the cases only is single digit. So we hope that single digit becomes 0 for the next 21 days, right? Because the Director Health General mentioned that he only can declare Malaysia as COVID free if there is no cases for 21 days. However, looking at the current situation now, from 2 digits become 3 digits every day since early October, if I'm not mistaken. So it won't be easy to go back to the way it was, and it won't be easy, especially for the entertainment sector, to open up fully as before the pandemic happens. That's why I find it skeptical for next year for the clubs or the jazz bars to open entirely.
Yeah, that's a good point. But what about you personally? Aren't you worried it's not an open announcement, right? There has been no announcement that Malaysia is COVID free, but then you still get hired to do a performance. I mean, go back to that cruise life or whatever. Won't you get worried or something?
Honestly, for me, I'm not that worried, because knowing the statistics these days, even though young people gets COVID or infected by COVID, the chances of us getting really sick is very low. So I'm not that worried in that particular part. And then besides that, I'm also far from my family, so I won't be worried to affect my family members because we're far apart. But on the other hand, the other thing is that also, because I've really actually, even before the pandemic happens, I knew this thing will happen. We need to quarantine ourselves for don't know how many weeks, because we actually learned that during our training back before we go back to cruise ship. So we know that if really this thing happens, we just need to be quarantined. So I actually prepared bought my Nintendo Switch and other games, a lot of them, and probably a lot of any TV series, anime series, and movies. So if really that happens, you just watch it and binge it until you finish your quarantine.
Yeah, that's the life lah.
Yeah, that's the life really. Other than that, of course, you can keep on practicing and transcribing lah. Yeah. So throughout for me especially, quarantine in the cruise ship is not so a bad thing lah. It's just that it's really look like a jail lah. Honestly, that's the worst thing can happen lah.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it, right?
True. Yes.
Yeah.
But of course, danger looms. Well, I mean, the fact that if you're working at a cruise ship, you should know that there is danger every time, because, well, you're on top of a floating floating iron, floating wood, and floating material right on top of sea. So anything could happen. It happens, and then literally either you survive or die lah. I mean, that's the first awareness, that if you're working with a cruise ship, that's the first thing dangers is always there.
Yeah.
So we really know. And then it's not that, so all of us went through training, which is essential for survival. And also we also had training, especially when in terms of fire or in terms when the boat sinks. It's not only for us crews, but it's also for the passengers. So in any case of emergency, we musicians have to be the rescue for the passengers, and we be the guide for them. Every cruise plays a part when there is emergency on the cruise ship. That is the drill that we have to do every 2 weeks once. So honestly, for passengers out there, you don't have to worry so much because we really have our own trainings.
but for those of you listening, Mr. Justin Chu will actually help you physically, not oh, you're drowning here, let me play you a song.
Yeah, definitely not. I don't think I even have the intention to play anything when we're drowning.
So right before we end, just a usual question that I ask a lot of my interviewers. If there is somebody out there, a junior of us or a friend of us, that actually wants to do what you do, right? What would your advice or suggestion be? How do they start? If they can already play these 200 songs, these 4 sets of 45 minutes, but they just don't know people of getting into it doesn't matter home performance, live performance outside at a bar, on a
Okay.
cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think they should start?
Well, honestly, they should start anywhere that when there is opportunity. Like let's say if someone invites you for replacement or for functions or anywhere like in a bar or what, just take it. Even though it's like a solo or duet or a trio or a band or even an orchestra, you just need to take it because from there itself, it will give you a start off point. And then in terms of a cruise ship also, well honestly, if you want to start off with a cruise ship as a musician, you you need to know that whether you love it or not to travel away from your family for a very long period of time. That is the first thing. Yeah, if you're okay with it, and yeah, it's just not about the money
it's
or
not
it's
just
not
about-
just about the traveling or that. Also, there is danger, like I mentioned. It's more riskier than performing on land. But then, of course, you have a different experience. You will meet a lot of crews, a lot of new friends from all over Asian countries or all over the world. Yes, that's the good thing and the good side about it, lah. And then, basically, you need to be aware of that, and especially those who have really in relationships. That is the important point.
And that's a very good. That's a very good advice
Yes.
to everybody listening,
True,
not just the
exactly.
music students.
Literally for general for those who wants to work on cruise ships lah. Yeah, but for bars and for local scenes for the land base, yeah, if there's any opportunity, take it. And if you get scolded, just be patient because that's how you learn and that's how I learn as well. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people tend to overlook that point. You know, if you get scolded, people get angry. Or
Correct.
that's how
A
you
lot.
learn.
Correct,
That's the
especially,
best
and then
way to
I mean, in terms of the younger generations, I feel there are some musicians like they easily get merajuk or get impatient or that. So yeah, it shouldn't happen that way. I mean, just be patient. I mean, those who scold you also, he's not being that mean also, like he's trying to push you also to be better. So you just need to be patient. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all these advices, all this information.
Most welcome. Yeah.
It's so hard to actually get somebody like you that does a lot of performances to talk, to explain about their lives. And I'm so happy that
Thank
you're
you.
able to share with us all of this.
Sure, I'm most happy and helpful to share all my experiences that I have. Yeah, anytime. Just let me know. Message me or what. Yeah.
Speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question for Mr. Justin Chu or anything about the topic that we've been talking about today, do send me an email at aminbob13@yahoo.com. My email will be in the description of this podcast.
Thank you so much, Bobby, for having me, and thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Yeah, hope you enjoy.
My name is Bobby Rose, and this is Music Talks Podcast, and this is me signing off. Thank you so much.